Billionaire gets in the car and hears a waitress telling him to shut up. The reason was, the rain came down hard that night, smearing the city lights into a blur of gold and gray as Alexander Vance, one of the richest men in the country, slid into the backseat of his sleek black limousine. The world saw him as untouchable, the billionaire tech genius who built an empire from nothing. But inside, he felt nothing but emptiness. As the car pulled away from the restaurant, his thoughts drifted between silence and self-loathing, until a soft, trembling voice broke through the hum of the engine. "Can you please, just shut up for a minute?" His driver froze, eyes darting to the rearview mirror. Sitting beside Alexander was a waitress, drenched, shivering, and clutching a tray she hadn't meant to carry into his car. Her name tag read Lena. Her hair clung to her face, her eyes fierce despite the fear trembling beneath them. Alexander blinked, stunned. No one had ever spoken to him like that, not even his board of directors. But her tone wasn't rude, it was broken. Desperate. Something inside him stirred, an unfamiliar pull of curiosity. Before he could speak, Lena covered her face and whispered, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. I can't listen to anyone right now. Not another rich man pretending to care." Her words hung in the air like shattered glass. Alexander frowned. She must have mistaken him for someone else. He had barely said a word. "You're shaking," he said quietly, reaching for a blanket in the backseat. She flinched, retreating into her corner like a wounded animal. "Please," she whispered, "don't try to fix me. I've had enough people trying to fix what they broke." Alexander hesitated. He had come from that same restaurant, having just fired half the staff for inefficiency, a decision made on paper, not realizing the human cost. He didn't recognize Lena, but the guilt suddenly felt heavier. "You work at La Maison?" he asked. She nodded, eyes fixed on her trembling hands. "Worked," she corrected bitterly. "Until tonight. The owner said some billionaire wanted a quieter dining experience. So they cut us. All of us. Just like that." The silence that followed was suffocating. He didn't need her to say it, that billionaire was him. Alexander's chest tightened. He could buy anything, islands, jets, influence, but not forgiveness. "I'm sorry," he said, voice raw. She laughed, hollow and sharp. "Sorry doesn't feed my brother," she said. "Sorry doesn't pay for his medication." He wanted to tell her the truth, that he hadn't known, that he hadn't meant to hurt anyone. But excuses sounded cheap next to her pain. He looked at her again, not as a stranger, but as a mirror reflecting everything he'd lost touch with, humanity. As the rain softened, Lena finally met his gaze. "You know what the worst part is?" she asked softly. "You people have everything, but you still don't hear us. You just talk about empathy in meetings, sign checks, and call it kindness." Her voice cracked. "Sometimes we just need you to listen." Those words cut through him deeper than any deal gone wrong. He realized that she wasn't angry at him alone, she was angry at the world he represented. The one that valued profit over people. "Where do you live?" he asked quietly. She hesitated, then muttered an address in a forgotten corner of the city. Without a word, he told the driver to take her there. The ride was long, filled with uneasy silence. Occasionally, she glanced at him, perhaps wondering why he hadn't asked her to leave. When they reached a run-down apartment complex, she grabbed her bag and turned to him. "Thanks for the ride," she said stiffly. "And, for not talking." But as she stepped out, something in him wouldn't let her go. "Wait," he said, rolling down the window. "If I wanted to fix what I broke, really fix it, how would I start?" She stared at him, rain dripping down her face. "You can't fix people with money," she said. "But you can choose to stop breaking them." Then she disappeared into the building. Alexander sat there for a long time, staring at the door she vanished through, her words echoing in his mind. That night, sleep never came. The next morning, headlines about his company's layoffs filled the news. Normally, he'd ignore them. But this time, he read every comment, every story of families struggling because of his decisions. Lena's face haunted him. He called an emergency meeting with his executives. They expected the usual, another profit plan. Instead, he stunned them all. "We're reopening every closed branch," he said firmly. "And every laid-off employee gets their job back. Effective immediately." The room fell silent. When asked why, he simply said, "Because I forgot what I built this company for." The board argued, investors panicked, but for the first time in years, Alexander didn't care. He sold his second mansion and redirected the funds to a foundation supporting single-parent families and low-income workers. Reporters mocked his sudden change of heart, but he didn't do it for them. He did it because a soaked, furious waitress told him to shut up, and made him listen. Weeks later, he visited the restaurant again. It had reopened under new management, offering fair pay and free meals for struggling families once a week. Lena was there, serving coffee with a tired but genuine smile. She froze when she saw him, this time in casual clothes, no entourage, no arrogance. "You again," she murmured. "You really don't give up, do you?" He smiled faintly. "Not when I finally have something worth fighting for." She studied him for a moment, searching for the man she'd met that rainy night. But this time, his eyes held something different, humility. "Gratitude. I didn't think you'd actually change," she said quietly. He nodded. "Neither did I." He pulled out a card and slid it across the table. "It's not a handout," he said quickly. "It's an invitation. I want you to help me run the new foundation. You know what people really need. I don't." Lena blinked, unsure whether to laugh or cry. For a long time, she said nothing, then finally whispered, "You're serious?" He smiled. Completely. Something in her softened. Maybe he truly meant it. Maybe this was how change began, not with grand speeches, but with someone finally listening. She took the card, her hand trembling slightly. "All right," she said, "but only if you promise one thing." He raised an eyebrow. "What's that?" "Don't stop listening," she replied. Her voice was steady this time, no anger, just quiet strength. He nodded solemnly. "I won't." For the first time in years, Alexander felt something real, peace. The waitress who once told him to shut up had become the voice that woke him up. Together, they began building programs that changed thousands of lives, small steps but powerful ones. And every time he felt himself drifting back into old habits, he remembered her voice cutting through the noise. Months later, at a charity event, a journalist asked Alexander what caused his sudden transformation. He looked out at the crowd, then smiled faintly. "A stranger told me to shut up," he said. "And it was the best thing anyone's ever said to me." The audience laughed, not knowing the story behind it, but Lena, standing quietly at the back, did. Their eyes met, and for a brief moment, everything felt right. As the lights dimmed, Alexander realized that true wealth wasn't measured in billions. It was found in moments of awakening, in the courage to listen, and in the humanity that binds us all. The night he met Lena, he thought she had nothing. But in truth, she had given him everything. A reason to be more than just a billionaire. A reason to be human again. And so, the story that began with a command, "Shut up," ended with something far greater. A man who finally learned to listen, and a woman who taught the world that even the smallest voices can create the loudest change.